Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 225 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is a fish, part of a group of fish that you've definitely heard about, and you've probably even heard about this particular species. I am sorry this is going to be a day late, but I got in so late last night and I was so tired that I didn't get in it, but I'm still going to try and get you your video. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is, bam, the Bigeye tuna. Now, the Bigeye tuna, or scientific name Thunus obesus, again, that's Thunus obesus. It is part of the family Scombridae, which is the family of tuna and mackerel. And we just did another species of Scombridae just a little while ago. So why are we doing it again? Well, we haven't done another real tuna. And Thunus is the genus that is known as the real or true tunas. There's only about 8 species of tuna fish, true tunas, in the world. So I thought it was time that we do another one, considering that the only one we've done is the bluefin. But the Bigeye tuna is part of the genus Thunus, which is a really unique genus in that all the species in Thunus are actually warm-blooded, which we talked about under the bluefin. And if you haven't watched that video, please go watch it. It's a really good and one of my most proud videos. And the Bigeye tuna is no exception. It is a warm-blooded fish, which kind of throws a lot of people off. But yes, there are species of fish that are warm-blooded. Do not think that there are not. Now, the Bigeye tuna is found in all open waters around the world except for the Mediterranean Sea, which is a really interesting fact because the bluefin tuna, which is, I believe, the largest species of the genus Thunus, where it is primarily caught is actually the Mediterranean Sea, which I did spend a little bit of time thinking on why the Bigeye tuna is not found in the Mediterranean Sea, whereas bluefin tuna are caught there, especially during the migration. And it got me to wondering, like, okay, well, maybe Mediterranean Sea is kind of a smaller sea. It's still very, very large. But tuna are voracious predators. And maybe the Bigeye tuna said, I'm not going to compete with this very large tuna species. I'm going to stay out. And I'm sorry that I sound stopped up. I think I'm actually starting to develop allergies in my old age. So that's why I have a little cough and sound a little stopped up. But that's kind of why I think that the Bigeye tuna may not be found in the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the Bigeye tuna is found normally as deep as 250 meters, which is around 800 feet during the day. But they are kind of most often seen very close to the surface of the ocean. So basically that entire range you might find them, but we'll get into more of that in the future. Now, it is a large fish. It can grow up to about 2.5 meters, which is about 8.2 feet. And the all-tackle angling record for Bigeye tuna is around 178 kilograms, which is around 392 pounds. Now, the max weight probably gets over 180 kilograms, which is around 400 pounds. So this is still a larger fish, even though that this is not the largest tuna species. It's still a very large fish, which is why so many people love catching these fish on, tackle and rod. If you can imagine catching a, 300-pound fish that fights, moves fast, it's got to be thrilling. Like most tuna, if you picture a tuna in your mind, they have this very dark, almost ocean blue, metallic blue on the top that goes to like a silver on the side to this silver white when you move farther down. Very large head, just like other tunas, and it has this very large eye. You can imagine that's where it kind of got its name, the Bigeye tuna. Very, very large eye. They are deep-bodied and streamlined. Got these long pectoral fins that when they're laid against the body, the pectoral fin will actually extend beyond the origin of the second dorsal fin. So you can see here, it's not even the origin, it's extending beyond, on this one, it's extending beyond the termination of the second dorsal fin. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about the edge of the pectoral fin, and this is the second dorsal. And that's actually a characteristic on a lot of fish, is where the pectoral fin ends in relation to a dorsal fin origin or termination, or even where the anal fin origin aligns with the dorsal origination. That's very important for some minnow species, where the anal fin will have an origin here and the dorsal fin origin will be straight above, in front of, or behind. In this particular one, I mean, obviously the origin of the anal fin is set farther back than the dorsal fin, but one characteristic is this pectoral fin extending beyond. But it's not the best characteristic, in my opinion. The best characteristic are these finlets, which are yellow. You have usually this bright yellow first dorsal fin, whereas the second dorsal and all the rest of the dorsal fins are going to be a little more paler yellow. This one's particularly striking, maybe during breeding or whatever, but you can kind of see here, if you look very, very closely, the finlets are yellow, but they're outlined in black. And those black edges are actually the biggest key to tell this species separate than the rest of them. And you can even see it here. And there's actually other pictures where you can see this a little bit as well. It's really hard. There's not a whole lot of pictures on Bigeye tuna. Good pictures on Bigeye tuna. So, well, here's one. You can see right here. You see they have this very black edge. That is, from all of my looking around, that's actually a very key diagnostic character. The big eye is not going to be noticeable unless you have experience at looking at hundreds of tuna species and you're like, oh, this eye is slightly larger. I don't like eye being slightly bigger as a characteristic. I think that that's very subjective, and people without experience are not going to do that. So those finlets with the dark edges, I think, are the better characteristic to look at. Now, they do live to a max age of about 16 years, with an age of 2 to 4 years at maturity. So they're fairly quick growing fish. These are not, an incredibly long-lived fish species. 16 years is definitely substantial, but a lot of people have under the assumption that large fish live, a very, very long time, and that's just not the case. Now, they are commercially fished, obviously. A lot of people love eating tuna, so there's going to be commercial fish, and a lot of people cannot tell the difference between the tuna species once it's on their plate. That's not an indictment to anyone. That's just, fact, basically. So it is commercially fished, and they are currently listed as overfished, but populations are not prone to overfishing now, meaning they are being sustainably harvested, but the population is recuperating from previous levels of overfishing. So their population levels are a little low, but they are sustaining and gaining a little bit. And that's part of that, kind of international push to try and help a lot of our fish populations recuperate from years and decades of overfishing from the ocean. Now, the bluefin tuna, please go watch that video. That's a whole different story. Please go watch that. In terms of amounts, 450,500 metric tons of bigeye were caught in 2012. That is a staggering amount of poundage for fish, which tells you that, you know, how many fish are kind of out there. It's, when you're talking about numbers like that, it's very easy to almost decimate a population if you're not careful, which is why I am encouraged by how many regulations and international sanctions are actually coming out to help protect fish species the fish species in our oceans. Now, for the interesting fact we're going to end the video on is that the bigeye tuna actually kind of goes deeper than a lot of other tunas usually. And as with many other pelagic fish, especially, mid-ocean fish, pelagic, they have diel vertical migration, meaning that during the time of the day, they'll actually go farther up in the water column and then they'll dive deeper in the water column. They will dive to deeper, cooler waters at dawn and then will return to the surface at dusk. And depending on where they are, that will actually help depend on how deep they go. In the Coral Sea, the majority of time is actually spent at 3 to 500 meters in depth, 300 to 500. Most of the rest of the world, they seem to be staying around that 250, 300 meter range. This one is 300 to 500 meters in depth. And the thought behind this is that these fish are actually following their prey, which are following a temperature of the ocean. So at dawn, the ocean starts to warm up, so they go deeper. Are they going deeper, or are they following their prey that is going deeper, trying to escape the heat of the day? And then at dusk, they come up following the cooling temperatures. And I believe it's a mix. Can't have one without the other. If it was not worth for them to go that deep, they wouldn't go that deep, because you have to imagine swimming 1,000 feet down probably expends a lot of energy. And so I think it's, definitely both. And the interesting thing about the bigeye tuna is they have a unique physiology which allows them to feed at these deeper, colder waters. They're not just going down there to sort of maintain. They're actually able to feed at those deeper, cooler waters. Bigeye tuna have been reported to tolerate oxygen levels at 1 milliliter per liter, which is really, really low. Fish usually get stressed at below 4, and any oxygen less than 2 is a lot of times, especially in freshwater, considered biologically dead water. Not a lot of things can survive below 2. These fish are not only surviving, they can feed at these depths. And that's a large part because they have blood with a very high oxygen affinity, meaning that they're able to pull those trace amount of oxygen in the water, and their blood is exceptionally well at absorbing all available oxygen and putting it into the bloodstream, allowing them to do it. And this is really important because remember, since these are warm-blooded animals, they are actively going to have a much, much higher metabolic rate. And you have to top that off with the fact that they have to have ways of dealing with that low of temperature down there, which they're using through countercurrent heat exchangers and other physiological adaptations. If you don't know what a countercurrent heat exchanger is, please go look it up. It's a fascinating thing. It is the entire reason that whales and dolphins and all marine mammals can survive. Countercurrent heat exchangers are an incredible physiological adaptation that maybe we could do an entire video on countercurrent heat exchangers, and we might do that one day. But something else that is a physiological adaptation is their eyes. Their eyes are extremely well developed with a very large lens, spherical lens. It's allowing them to see their prey at these depths. So many sight predators, when they lose light, they are depending on other senses. This fish has such a large, well-developed ocular system that it can actually feed at these lower depths because it can still see. It is pulling the trace amount of lights. It is honestly a very fascinating fish that is using other methods to basically compete with these other tuna species that it's just flat out smaller than, which is always important. But I do think it was time to do another tuna, and this is a very good tuna species to do it on. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated regardless. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. We're getting closer and closer to those 500 subscribers. Thank you so much for the love and support. Have a great day, everyone. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And peace.